Nietzsche likewise has ideas that Christian morality is flawed, right? Nietzsche argues that God is dead, but his next line famously is, and Europeans killed him. The Europeans killed God because European science, European discoveries have removed any potential that God existed at all. And therefore, these ideas, these religious ideas of helping the poor and, trying to, give to others, these are, in his opinion, ideas that have been perpetuated by the masses of mediocre people. And the masses want to resist, they want to refrain those better off people from advancing, from doing what they want, from conquering, from achieving. And so they've developed this highly complex Christian morality that refrains the elites from, doing great things. And Nietzsche argues, therefore, that the result of this is that Europeans are living in a society full of mediocrity. They are all thinking the same things, and in fact, they're thinking they're all equal because of these ideas of liberty and that everyone should vote because everyone can think, right? And that everyone's equal. They're living in a world in which they go about their day-to-day lives consumed with making money and buying things for themselves. And so Nietzsche looks at that late 19th century consumer society, the first department stores, all those red changes going on in cities, right? That bourgeois society sort of coming about, in which large numbers of people are in the middle class and spending and enjoying entertainment and mass cultural activities like leisure leagues and sports and vacations. And Nietzsche thinks these are just mediocre. This is just people wasting their time, living these lives in which they're just pleasing themselves and pampering themselves and not moving on, not advancing. And so he's pessimistic about humans. He says that in reality, Nietzsche is a nihilist, Nihilist. And a nihilist is someone who basically believes that there's no point to anything. And he says that when humans find out there's no point to anything, then guess what? These bourgeois people going about their lives, they're going to be in for a great shock. Because they've all kidded themselves that there's a meaning to it all. And they go about assuming there's this meaning. But Nietzsche surmises that there's a great hope that human beings will transcend this. And the human beings that will, he calls this the Übermensch, right? The overman. The Übermensch. And this Übermensch will be able to advance beyond and will be able to come up with a new morality that will allow human beings to accomplish great things, achieve great things. Nietzsche, he sort of rejects sort of the rationalism and the restraint of the society of the late 19th century. He calls for drama and dynamism and heroicism. And he thinks that these are lost in an industrial age. Freud also looks at the human condition, and he likewise thinks that, in fact, humans are not really that able to understand themselves. Humans are not a blank slate. They're not a tabula rasa. They are full of subconscious or unconscious desires and urges and instincts. And these we inherit. These are inherited. I mean, Darwin argues that this genetic information is passed from one generation to the next. And that genetic information includes, in natural selection includes behaviors. Certain people are more likely to do certain things. The flight or fight instinct, right? To flee or to respond, and how humans do that. These are things that we've inherited. And Freud says that we've inherited all sorts of instincts from when we were animals, right? We still are animals. And so we have all of this baggage from our ancestors of the millennia with us. And we can't explain, therefore, all the human behavior because some of it's determined by the subconscious. And we get insights into those subconscious with dreams. But the point is that humans are not rational. We're not a blank slate. And so this idea that humans can act rationally, this idea that Enlightenment thinkers have, it's ultimately, well, Freud argues, false. And you guys can look up id, superego, and all that stuff again. That's basically, if you mention the unconscious and the realm of instincts, that's basically the id. And so you're good. Now, this, of course, leads us to the 20th century. And 20th century thought is very exciting, right? We live in well, we now are in the 21st century, beyond the post-existential world. Wow, is that not incredible? But existentialism basically takes all of these ideas and rejects all ideas, right? It's people that say that any code, any group, any philosophy ultimately cannot be proven, and therefore, the religious beliefs humans have, or these different philosophical beliefs, are ultimately, they're all just, fiction. Some existentialists basically say, there's no point. But Sartre and Camus, right? Sartre is spelled S-A-R-T-R-E. I think, Sartre. Okay. He surmises that, in fact, this is not bad, right? Human beings, it's not that now that there's no point to existence, everything's going to be horrible. In fact, this allows humans to have the ultimate freedom to choose why they are going to live. Because there is no philosophy to explain everything, so now humans have to seek it for themselves. They have to seek a reason to exist. And so existentialism, the word says, it's basically, these thinkers look at the world, and many are dour and pessimistic about humans. They think we're psychologically, unfit, and we have all sorts of things we can't really control. And the world is not rational, and so they boil things down to the existence of humans. Like, why do we exist? Ultimately, we don't know. But humans can seek a reason to exist in their lives. And so for Sartre, that's optimistic. And we see a little existential ideas in the work we read by Kafka, right? He's a writer in the 20th century, and you see him meditating on what it means to be human and what our family links are, and ultimately, in our bourgeois existence, we have our families and we love and we live for them, but in reality, existentialists say, as Kafka reveals, like, they're not really there for you. And other stories, another one by Kafka is about the trial, and also Camus writes something called The Trial, in which, a person is put on trial and the government doesn't make any sense, and their life is basically this nonsensical Tim Burton-esque experience.